and welcome to Chapter Select at the Movies, the podcast where Randy and I suffer through one terrible video game adaptation at a time. This time, it's Super Mario Brothers. No, not that one.
Not the new one?
Not the new one.
Are you sure?
Not the one you remember either. This is a special version of Super Mario Brothers.
Okay, hold on. We're doing a audio only thing because obviously StreamYard just doesn't like
gotta
us.
Address this.
However,
Yes.
I am putting air quotes big time over special version that you are about to bring up. Super air quotes that you guys can't see. But go ahead.
So, this is known since I think last year, or no, actually, summer of 2021 is, I believe, when this dropped. It's the Morton Jankel Cut of Super Mario Brothers, the movie. Now, Morton and Jankel, actually, I believe, are a couple. Like they're married, even though they didn't take each other's last names.
Mm-hmm.
But their big claim to fame, and the reason that they were picked to make a Super Mario Brothers movie, is that they had a show under their belt by the name of Max Headroom. Randy, are you a Max Headroom fan?
I don't know who that is. I like.
Okay.
I'm a tall man. I like Headroom.
Sure, we all like Headroom. We also like Headroom on our audio systems. You want that ability, right? No. Okay, you've seen Back to the Future Part 2?
Yes.
Do you remember when they go to the retro 80s diner in the future of Back to the Future Part 2?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
And there is a stuttering CGI head.
Oh, okay.
That, well, first it's Max Headroom, and then it's Ronald Reagan for some reason.
Okay.
Like it's a Max Headroom reference that turns into a Reagan reference.
Gotcha.
But I think that Marty gets a Pepsi from it. Anyway, that's Max Headroom. Max Headroom is a disembodied AI head in a dystopic cyberpunk future. And it was a very, well, it wasn't like the hugest show in the 80s and early 90s, but it was a cult thing, a beloved cult show. And that's why you get Morton and Jankel, right? You want to bring that Max Headroom magic to the Mario Brothers. You want a dark, gritty, post-apocalyptic adult Mario Brothers.
You have yet to explain to the movie that I just watched. None of those words worked.
No, I think that's what the studio heads, I think, got cold feet about that whole idea. So I think at the last minute, they completely rewrote it, forced an entirely new script on our directors.
Mm-hmm.
And but at this point, like the sets, like everything had already been created. Like the production design, which was supposed to be for the dark, broody. I still I don't know why you get. Here's the thing.
Yes.
This is I can't really blame them. I mean, I can blame the producers. I can blame the studio.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to blame the artists because it's like you're brought on to do a thing, and then they completely change the thing on you, and now what you're doing no longer makes sense.
And
it's almost like it's not quite like a this sort of thing happens all the time. Like look at Fantastic or Solo Star Wars story where Disney brought on the 21 Jump Street guys and then were unhappy that it was too funny, so they had to scale that back, right?
Yeah.
So this is a studio meddling type thing. So yeah, all the sets were already built for the dark and gritty Super Mario Brothers, and then they had to shoehorn a bunch of childish humor in it. But they were still, you can, in this cut, like there are characters using the word motherfucker. There are like strippers. There's like stuff in the background that was never going to make a children's film.
Yeah, you could definitely tell that from watching this cut, and we'll get into the actual movie here in a minute, but
mm-hmm.
I kept messaging you while I was watching this last night, going, I see zero difference for like the first hour. It was the amount of time. What's really cool about the cut, especially the one that you sent me, was you can definitely tell which was the added stuff because they still had the timer going and it wasn't polished, and you could definitely tell what was the stuff that was hitting the cut
I think there's a
floor.
lot more happening than you would discern just based on. So yeah, as you say, there are bits of this cut that come from a work print, and if you guys have ever seen a work print, you know that they often have like a timestamp.
But
So you,
for the first hour, all of those
uh
timestamps are on stuff that literally just extended somebody walking. Or, oh,
well, it
they're
was there was
looking
also
for a
reaction
second
shots.
or two longer.
That's not true. So
But the reaction shots were nothing. They were
there were.
understandable cuts.
Here's the thing. Obviously, if you just took the work print shots out of this cut, the cut would make no goddamn sense. And we know the theatrical version, while it's not the greatest movie in the world, it somewhat hangs together. I think there's a lot more happening in this cut than you probably. I think this is kind of the. It's not quite the phenomenon that we experience sometimes with video game remasters, where you're like, "Oh, what did they change? It looks exactly like I remember the game, looking." And then you press the button that puts Diablo 2 back into old Diablo 2 mode, and you're
Right.
like, "Holy
Oh
shit, this is
man.
what Diablo 2 looked like."
The amount of I have yet to play part 1 of The Last of Us with them putting it into the part 2 engine, but everyone's like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, it looks the same." No, it doesn't. Like just
Yeah,
watching
surely not.
clips and then going back and watching old clips. It's like, no. But I
So
remember
it's
that
it's
just to go on a quick tangent. I remember that on like way back in the day before graphics even
mhm,
got to where we are now, where it was like some Tecmo Bowl thing on my DS. And I played it. And I'm like, well,
mhm.
this looks like the old Tecmo Bowl I played with. And then you hit a button and it goes back to old Tecmo mode. And even back then, you're like,
But
okay.
I do think that not only are a lot of those new shots in there, which by themselves you're like, okay, these are not the most important shots, but actually, what I think has happened is there has been a lot of restructuring of scenes. Like if you talk the first hour, there are like several car chases that like the big car chase in the middle of the movie is definitely like greatly recut.
Mhm.
Stuff are the order of shots has changed
That's fair.
around.
Again, it's been years
There's
since I've watched the original. So I
there's
can't
more scenes.
say
Yeah,
too
but
much.
it's the kind of things that like you'd have to look at them side by side to really notice.
Mhm.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like that phenomenon where I think that it's like you're saying that like nothing's changed. Like from the beginning, I was struck. So, and this is I don't want this to just turn into a bullet pointed list of the changes. So let's just talk about what happens in this movie,
Yes.
and I'll talk about stuff along the way.
Good.
But this movie, in the theatrical cut, opened with this very corny narration where a guy who sounded like Joey on the Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series was giving you like a backstory of how did and then a meteoroid came and no more dinosaur. I can't do a Brooklyn accent. It was like a
Oh
bad
yeah, I
Brooklyn
do kind
accent.
of remember that scene now from the original.
Yeah,
It's like I said, it's been years, but I do kind of remember that.
so yeah, it's kind of like the Blade Runner. It's like how they added narration to Blade Runner, and then the director's cut takes it out. So the first thing that happens, we take out the narration, and I think we even take out like the final version has this like chiptune Mario theme that opens it. Um, so instead, it's just these like very quiet, like actually completely silent for a while. Black and white shots of the little stop motion dinosaurs hanging out, waiting for the asteroid to strike them, and then it just it goes to color, and we see the asteroid, and the big ominous Ellen Silvestri music comes in. So it just from the start to me, just by virtue of taking that narration out and taking the goofy music out,
Mm-hmm.
like you've made it like almost classier, more ominous, like it's moodier.
Yeah, but then you have to do a lot more with the
Oh, sure,
rest
you have to do a
of the
lot more,
movie.
but I mean,
And now I will say
just
this.
as far as like starting on a different note entirely,
I
as
will
far as the prologue goes.
I will say this. I'm not going to get on the directors for not being able to give us the movie they wanted because I'm with you. This was a production thing and they didn't understand video games because nobody did
Also true.
back then.
First
Uh,
video game movie. We
yes,
should say this is
and
the first one.
and it's not good. So for them wanting to go dark and then getting told no because video games are a kid thing, which obviously back then that stereotype was very
Hmm.
strong.
Yep.
So no, we need to have this be more comical, which if you want other
There are
examples
some
of
jokes.
this, go watch the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, and then go watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 and see what
Mhm.
a company can do to those that want to be dark and
Oh
broody.
yeah. Or compare, the even the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie with the original comics, which were
Yeah,
much, they're basically like a Deadpool
yeah.
parody or spin-off or
So
whatever at first. So they were dark and gritty and violent.
while I now would absolutely love to see their original version, you can't do that with a cut now with a movie that was filmed based on the other script. So I'm not sitting there going, well, it should be completely different.
No.
There are, like you said, bits and pieces, especially in the second half, as far as the cut goes, that you kind of see the direction they wanted to go in. It's just clashing with the actual movie we still have in here, which is why I still think that narration really fits with going, hey, we're going to get into some corny crap and you better get ready for the corniness. So
Okay,
that
I
kind of
guess.
voiceover kind of, it's not good, but would kind of work. And I do think that this cut just tries to clash with itself at times.
That's fair, I guess. I like what it's going for tonally in the beginning. Not having that there, so that's the first thing. So then we get to meet the brothers, and we see that they're struggling. Their business is struggling. They can't get jobs, and we also learn that the reason they can't get jobs is because there are like mafia plumbers, connected plumbers
Mm-hmm.
taking the jobs from them, and they can't deal with it because there's this guy who's one of the he's kind of set up to be like the fake big bad, like we think he's set up as if he was the big bad, but then of course he doesn't really matter for most
Right.
of the movie because
Mm-hmm.
Koopa is the big bad, but he's just like develop. He's got like a developing
He's
company, and we also see him
to take
threaten.
hold on to take this back to a video game thing.
Uh
He
huh.
is an early boss in Final Fantasy, where you think he's the main boss, and then has nothing to do with the main plot by the
I
end.
thought you were gonna make a GTA. He feels like a third red kind of like GTA character or something.
Well, no, because they stick
Uh,
around too. But
I guess that's fair. Uh, actually, I skipped. There's another prologue after the destruction of the dinosaurs prologue. There is a prologue where we see who I presume is the Queen Daisy's mother
mm-hmm.
on the run from goons, holding an egg that she manages to pass through a portal into our world where it can be safe, and then Daisy is born from that egg. So she's growing up as an orphan in New York, but she doesn't know her heritage, her royal heritage,
And the nuns
as a
went,
as a
we will
lizard person.
never tell her that she really came from an egg.
Well, but here's though you can't argue with the accuracy, right? We know that all the royals and of course important people in the highest echelons of power, we know that they're lizard people that are descended from dinosaurs. So this is just it's just accurate. You got to give credit where credit is due.
Do we?
Anyway, so we see her born from this egg, and she grows up an orphan in New York, and she's now like an archaeologist, or at least with some archaeology kind of group,
Mm-hmm.
digging up dinosaur bones around a meteor. Somewhere in the middle of New York, and this mafia guy wants to build there, so he's intimidating her, just like he's intimidating Mario and Luigi. But that establishes. I don't think the theatrical cut established a rivalry between Mario and Luigi and that dude
I
until
think so.
after they talk to Daisy.
Oh, well, you might be right. Because I'm
Yeah, because
trying to,
that's
again, it's been years, but I know there was a rivalry because obviously it gets paid off at the end. But
yeah, but that's I think that in the theatrical cut it comes off as because he's going after Daisy, whereas here it's
gotcha.
like he's going after Daisy, but also we already hate him.
By the way,
And
I'm
in fact,
the watching the theatrical
oh,
cut. This is what you
that'd
get.
be my next pick. Is the theatrical cut of Super Mario Bros. Oh no, that'd be something. Um. Anyway, so yeah, where were we? Uh.
Nothing good. That's where we're at. And, okay, so we get to the lugheads that
Yeah. So,
continue to just show
yeah,
up
we're
and
spending a lot of time, and this also we're spending a lot more time with them, and they're abducting of the girls and we're also spending a lot more time with the girls themselves later
yeah.
in the movie.
Can I just say before you get into them,
Uh-huh.
Those two might be my favorite part of this entire movie.
They are fun.
They are so but there's one part that I will get to that really irks me, but especially
Which
the
is one of the
beginning.
better jokes.
But so it's just they're so stupid where they're like, but they especially
Classic dumb henchmen.
what's
Yeah,
the
where just one
I
is
forget
dumber
their
than the other.
yeah I forget their names, but the one that's not quite as dumb as the other, but that makes it seem like he's like this brainiac. Just it's her. I know it. How do you know? She has 2 legs and 2 arms. It has to be her. I was like, that's a great line for just complete stupidity that thinks they know what they're talking about.
And it does mean that they end up kidnapping like 5 other random girls before they find the real Daisy,
and then not giving them back.
And then one of them actually turns out to be Mario's girlfriend, who was established early on, who's like a typical, Italian girl, feisty, likes to cook, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we don't realize that she's in Koopa's prison until like the 3rd act of the movie. She's just suddenly there in the theatrical. And here we get a lot of, I don't want to call it Koopa's harem because he's obviously not doing anything with them, but they are just keeping all the girls in a room together. So we keep cutting back to them hanging out and having conversations about their lives. And giving us more characterization for Daisy, which I feel is also an improvement, that Daisy gets a little bit more scenes in this. But yeah, so they kidnap a bunch of girls, and eventually, they discover Daisy, and Daisy goes on the run from them. They've got this cute. So Luigi has a crush on Daisy, which is I don't know if that's a good angle for the story, but I guess it's a way of getting them invested. That Luigi's in love with her.
Yeah.
So
something.
He's going to do whatever he has to protect her, and they go on the run from the 2 goons, and then while they're being chased, they end up going first through like this kind of canal cave sewer, like a sewer that ends in like a cave area, and then one of the walls is not. It's almost like the leap of faith at the end of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Yeah, but this has one of those horrible situations in this movie that once again just shows how not good any of it is. So she is showing Luigi the dig site with dinosaur bones of the species that they've never seen before. And 2 henchmen are just down there, but they never hear them. We never see them, and they just break some pipes. So it was like they were just hanging out until the perfect moment to break the pipes and run off. Now, water is flooding in to this area, and their reaction is to, let's run home, because neither of them drive. Let's run home and get Mario, and Mario can take us back, and then he will fix it. And when we come back from however long that was, the water will not have rose at all.
Sure.
At all.
I don't really want to get into all of the machinations.
Well, because it would take us 3 hours. But that's just one that just got me at the beginning. I'm like, oh God.
That's fair. But yeah, the point is, they get chased around. They get Mario. Eventually, they get chased down this hole into this cavern. And and that's where the portal is.
So with this whole scene, I will once again touch on the lugheads. Because they got me with another line of, we failed to find the right path again. How many times have we done it? 5 times. Or what percentage is that?
No idea, but it is good.
It's not good.
But it is good.
But if we do it a 6th time, we're definitely going to die. I was like, all right.
He won't be that nice.
That's true. Those two made this movie.
Yeah, they're good. They're good comic relief, for sure. But as I said, eventually they chased him to this portal, and Luigi makes a leap of faith. He just jumps over this big, it's just this, abyss, this endless abyss gap that he jumps straight into a wall that he saw Daisy go into, and Mario's like, it's a wall. What are you doing? But of course, it's not a wall. It's it's a portal. And then Mario has to follow, of course, and they go through this horrible scene. I should say, the effects in this movie have not held up at all.
Well,
even in this very this VHS, even in like a low res internet video of a VHS print, I don't think the effects hold up.
No, but I won't ding them for that because this was what, late 80s, early 90s. So
Early 90s, yeah. 93. So I still I've seen better even then.
yeah.
But yeah, so they're going through crazy portal, come out on the other side, and now we're in this like dingy underground Blade Runner-esque, like filthy city, full of weird characters and slime and fungus and little dinosaurs, fighting each other. And obviously, it's a big culture shock for the Marios. But first, they have to go through a security checkpoint where they have to give their names, and we get the oft-quoted Mario, Luigi, Mario scene. This is 36 minutes into the movie at this point, by the way. So like it's like the theatrical cut, if I'll give it one thing, it was very concerned with like getting there, right?
Yes.
Let's get there as fast as possible, and this movie was not.
And I appreciate that.
Anyway.
I still have not figured out what the movie wanted Mario and Luigi to be. Because Luigi has a conversation during the dinner that he doesn't know his parents, and Mario basically was, the joke was his mother.
Mario is his adopted father, brother.
Yes. But then they have a scene much later where Mario says something about being an only brother or whatever. So I don't know what they are.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like Luigi talks about how he was abandoned just like Daisy was, and Mario took him in, and he was like a father and a brother and every conceivable type of family member to me.
I'm just not a fan of this setup, but
oh, sure. No, I like them to actually be brothers. That would be better. I don't know why they didn't make them actually brothers.
And the Mario Luigi Mario thing is so dumb.
I mean, I hated it. I'll say this. A lot of this movie is, I hated it when I first saw it, and I've now lived with it for so long that I'm kind of okay with some of these decisions.
That's fair.
It is very, very stupid. I can kind of see from a screenwriting standpoint that they wanted to give Luigi and Daisy something in common, but I don't think that's enough of a justification to not have them be brothers.
Right.
That bothers me more than the name, is that they're not brothers.
But we're still going to call them the Mario brothers.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. So, so they go through this checkpoint, and now we got a lot of flavor. We got a lot of, running into, they get mugged. Oh, this I should mention. Daisy, she's carrying like a crystal with her around her neck, which I think she got from her mother even at the very beginning.
Yeah, she leaves it in the egg.
Is an important part of the MacGuffin of this movie that we're about to learn. Basically, there is this like meteorite that has a lot of power that can be, harnessed again or reactivated if you put the crystal and the meteor together. But the only person who can touch them without dying is Daisy, because she's special. So that's kind of the whole premise of it. But when she was kidnapped and separated from the brothers, they were trying to like make a last grab to rescue her, and they got just the amulet. So now the Mario brothers have the amulet with the crystal, and Koopa's goons have Daisy. So that's where we are right now. So they're now on a quest to kind of figure out where she is and get her back and all that. And maybe you can help me out here, because this is where the movie gets a little like there's just a lot of business.
Before we get to the business, can we talk about Koopa?
Yeah. We do meet him around this time.
Why
in the movie.
In the world, other than it just gives some kind of a character flaw, why is he a germaphobe but has zero problem with the king that he took his spot in just gumming up the place.
Well, he doesn't have zero problem with it. He hates it, right? Like he's
No,
disgusted
he
by it.
loves it because he goes and talks to him and keeps telling him, "Oh, you just keep doing that because I'm gonna move
Well,
on to my own thing." But you
I
could
think
have
he's
just killed the dude.
it's a big character inconsistency in my mind because there are scenes where he acts disgusted by the fungus and he talks about how he wants to be rid of it,
Mm-hmm.
and he talks about how it's infesting and taking over the whole place, and he cites it as one of the reasons why he wants to conquer our world is to be away from it.
Do you
But,
think that
but at the same time,
do
I think
you?
he likes having the king in
Mhm.
that because he's turned. This is a later twist in the movie,
Yeah,
so
but
we're
that's fine.
jumping ahead a little bit.
That's fine.
But the
If you're
fungus,
watching this, hopefully you've at least seen the original and you understand.
yeah, the fungus turns out to be Daisy's father, the king, who's been de-evolved by Koopa to the point where he's now a fungus, which is a technology Koopa has, which we're about to get into.
Do you
Uh,
think that the directors and the writers were smart enough to have read the instruction manual of the original Mario Brothers that said all of the blocks used to be people of the Mushroom Kingdom and took that as a we'll just have one dude be the fungus that takes over the whole area? Because that was the whole thing with the instruction manual is these people are now giving you items and stuff, and every time you break blocks, you're basically just mass murdering the city.
yeah, I mean, I could see the twist that the fungus is the previous king. Like, you could play that real dark and disturbing. Like, that could be in a Harlan Ellison story or something
But
if
no,
you
we
did it.
just play it off as a horrible joke at the end of the movie.
Well, also the king, the spoiler, the king gets reconstituted back into a human and he's Lance Henriksen. So that's a fun little moment. Um, so he's fine. Everybody's fine. So Koopa has this machine. First it's a machine that he straps you into, like into a chair.
Mm-hmm.
And then later he just has it in gun form where he can shoot you and
Right.
do it to you. But either way, he has the technological means of either, he can do a Devo on you. He can either turn you back to what you were, at or what your great 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 ancestors were millions of years ago, and turn you back to a primordial ooze or to the fish crawling out of the sea or whatever you were, a monkey. Um, or he can go forward and presumably advance you to the point where you're like the next a being of pure energy, the next level of
Mm-hmm.
evolution or whatever, who knows. But he can advance his victims forward and backward in genetic evolution, like that Voyager episode Threshold, where Paris and Janeway turn into lizards and then back into humans at the end after they have some lizard babies. Never seen that one?
Nope, I have not.
Famously the worst episode of
Oh
Voyager.
God, great. So is
But
this.
yeah, he can exactly. So he can do a threshold on people, and he does it. We actually we get to introduce to Toad, who for all the world I thought was he looks just like comedian Chad Zumach. I don't know if you know Chad Zumach, but
Mm-mm.
whoever the actor is who's playing Toad, I had Chad Zumach on the mind every time he was on screen. He even sounds like him a little bit, but he doesn't get to be on screen long because we meet him singing a folk song about how much Koopa sucks, and then he gets quickly taken away. And Mario and Luigi meet him in prison, if I remember correctly. But then a couple of scenes after, we see him evolved to having a tiny little lizard head, which is actually the one of the images that is most closely associated with this movie.
Yes,
Whenever you look up, because you
because
always see Toad with the little head.
that looks like a Goomba.
Yeah, that's the way we get the Goombas in here. So yeah, I really whatever they were trying to do, right? They were doing something that was like inspired by Mario only in the loosest way.
By name
And
only.
then they tried to pull it back somewhat at the end, and it just really does not work
No.
out.
Mm-mm.
but yeah, so he's got this technology, and he doesn't do a very good job of controlling Mario and Luigi because he's kind of showing them around, threatening them, trying to give them to get them to give up the crystal
Mm-hmm.
after they're captured at some point. And they won't give up the crystal, so he like goobifies somebody in front of them, and then they just grab him and strap him down, and like turn the machine up briefly before he can take control back. So he's got like a little bit of that's actually a new scene when we see him wake back up, and like
Okay.
we see him like twitch his eye, and he's got like one of his eyes is a lizard eye now. So that's cool. We get a lot more of him and a lot more of him and his wife together. Goomba's wife, who really did not play very much into the film before. Well, that's not true. She's always had the thing. Her whole story arc is that she's jealous of Daisy. She thinks that Koopa. I keep calling. Did I call Koopa Goomba a few times? I think
You
I
might
did.
have. Yeah, Goomba. Yeah, I
Damn
think you
it,
said Goomba's wife at one point.
Koopa's wife. Damn it. So Koopa already has a wife, which also is this a new? Was there ever? Did Koopa ever have a jealous wife in the games who was like
No,
upset
I don't think
that he
so.
was he kept trying to kidnap?
Do you think Wart is secretly Koopa's wife and we just don't know it from the second? I don't know.
Oh man, that'd be something. Yeah, maybe after he like de-evolves her, she turns into Wart.
There you go. We just figured it
Yeah,
out.
yeah. That makes sense. At least in the other canon, because we know in this canon we know what happens to her. But her whole deal is that she's jealous of Daisy because she sees that like Daisy's really important to King Koopa, and he wants to. But also, there's actually one scene where he's being like really weirdly rapey with her.
He
That
gets really rapey a couple times in this movie.
So maybe his wife is right that he does want things from Daisy other than, and he keeps talking about wanting, I'm going to use her.
Yeah.
I'm going to use you later. It's like, oh, really? What is this? Blue Velvet? Like, is this why you got Dennis Hopper? What are you doing? Um, so that doesn't belong in a kids movie.
No. That's
I
fair.
don't think. I think that stuff made it in though because it was the '90s and nobody cared back then. So, but yeah, maybe his wife is right. But she's not right to be jealous of Daisy, but she is. So she keeps trying to kill Daisy or get rid of Daisy because she's jealous. And she's a much bigger character in this version than she was before. uh,
But no,
but yeah,
throughout
the
all
middle
that,
of the movie is it's a bunch of set pieces and action scenes. Like at one point they get robbed by this like big black chick who takes the crystal from them, and then later they have to get it back. And in the process, her and Mario have like a romantic dance, and she actually falls for him.
because she punched him in the face and he came back and asked for more, and she fell
punched him
in
in the
love.
face, and he's like, "That's really, I like a girl who punches me in the face. Do that again."
What was the line about? I love the way your knuckles curled around my face, or something.
Yeah. Such poetic motion or whatever.
Right.
There is some well, I mean that relationship is really stupid.
Yes.
And I guess it's funny because she's a big burly black woman that like it's funny that she's a romantic interest, I guess, if that's the idea. But of course she becomes an ally in the last third for the finale. But for now, she's stolen the thing, and she also has the jump boots. So when she steals the crystal, she jump boots away. That's the introduction of that element, because we know that if there's one thing we know about Mario that has to be in the movie is that Mario jumps. So I guess he was going to jump
boots
once.
that makes him jump. Yeah, they use it one time in the whole movie.
I mean, he does jump other times, but it's usually like a leap or a. It's always a leap of faith, because the big story arc with Mario and Luigi is that Luigi is this naive guy who believes in things and trusts things and is very romantic, and Mario is the cynic, and Mario has to learn to believe like Luigi does and trust the fungus, because early on, actually the big point where it really starts to come out is there's a car chase. And there's during one of the many sequences where they have to get away from Goomba's goons. There's a big car chase, which actually is where some of the more heavy editing, as far as recutting, that car chase is way more substantial. Like more crashes, more stuff happens. I felt like there was quite a lot added, which is like, why would you cut the car chase down in your movie? That makes no sense. So I appreciate that. Car chase is pretty good, but the car chase ends with them going down kind of a one-way tunnel that shoots right out into a cliff where they would Thelma and Louise to their death normally, if not for the fact that the fungus basically bubblegums them to the like a what do you call that when people who do like a bungee
Yeah, there you go,
cord.
bungee jump. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like basically envelops the car and bungees the car from the cliff, saving them. And of course, Luigi insists that the fungus saved us, and Mario is having none of it at this point in the story. And then later on, there's a similar thing where like Luigi thinks that he's flying. He's like taking a leap of faith, and he's like, "I'm flying. Do it, jump! You can do it too, Mario." And then, of course, it turns out that he's not flying. He's just hanging from a hook and didn't realize it. And
Yeah,
Mario would fall to his death, except the fungus saves him. So that's the second time that happens, and that's when he's convinced. So yeah, he learns to trust the fungus, which of course we then later learn that the fungus is the old king, and so that one makes perfect sense, right? So that all explains that. Perfectly constructed plot.
You are stretching, sir. You're stretching a lot. Just like
the fungus stretching to save the car.
Son of a! They're just like the two idiots that get evolved into these smart people.
Oh yeah, this is the thing that pissed you off. That's the thing that bugged you.
Well, it's just because it happens so quick. Literally, they get evolved and become super smart, and they say all these big words and ha ha ha, we're smart. Let us go tabulate a plan. The very next time we see them, they're two doofuses again that can't drive a car, and they end up.
Well, we don't see the plan that they want to formulate. The plan probably wasn't.
But still, they can't even operate this easy piece of machinery. And then after that scene, they go right back to being smart again. I wonder if this got flip-flopped at some point, and this was when they were still stupid.
I don't think they're ever really smart. I mean, the smartest thing that they do is change sides.
Yes.
Because they read the room, I guess, that like, okay, finally, maybe it'd be better to be on Mario's side here.
But they took the fun out of those two. And just...
I will say this. I thought initially the joke that he basically puts them into the evolution machine to make them... Because Koopa is fed up with the fact that his henchmen are so dumb. So he puts them into the evolution machine to make them smarter, to like evolve them to the point where they're super intelligent. Then all it does is give them a big vocabulary. So the joke is they're just as dumb as ever. They're just using big words now.
That's fair.
And I thought that would have been a really good joke, actually, except that the movie then acknowledges that that's the joke. Like they literally have Koopa talk about it. Koopa says, I was going to turn you smart, but instead I just gave you a big vocabulary. Like he literally just says it. So I think with some jokes, that kind of joke is going to work if you just do it and like not hang a lamp on it, but they had to hang a lamp on it.
Have you seen the movie A Cabin in the Woods or whatever the new...
Yes, I thought A Cabin in the Woods handles, if you're talking about that kind of humor, handles it much better, right?
No, I was going to say it's the exact same thing where they set up something and then just beat you over the head with, look at this. Look at what we're doing the whole time. We'll talk about it off there, but I don't want to spoil stuff on that.
I think that movie is pretty much just, it has a premise and it commits to it. I don't feel like it was like over-explaining itself, but like Mario was this movie was over-explaining itself.
Horrible.
So that ruined that joke for me.
Can we get to the end of this garbage?
Well, I want to get back to the dance club. So during the dance club sequence where Mario is dancing with the big black chick and basically turns her to his side, Koopa and his goons appear at one point, and there is a new sequence, which is a rap. So the two henchmen, they are intelligent enough now to like impromptu put I wouldn't call it a good rap, but for something that in universe the characters are making up off the top of their head to distract the bad guy. Mm-hmm. Wasn't the worst thing ever. So I can see why. Is that the
dinosaur thing? Everybody do the dinosaur? Is that the thing? Or are you talking about when they were going off again about Koopa?
No, they literally, it's just their rapping. There's no
Okay.
backing track to it because this is an unfinished cut.
Well, okay, that was that part. I just remember the dinosaur song that popped up
Oh
that
yeah,
I've
well
heard.
that plays.
Yeah.
That is even further along the. And a lot of stuff happens. So yeah, after they escape from the dance club, they then actually they like hide on like a trash like a trash delivery like vehicle to get to Koopa's castle, and they sneak into Koopa's castle to free Daisy. And yes, on the way they do play that "Walk the Dinosaur" song to distract all the Goombas, who just they're in a groove and just
No, I
standing
thought
along
that
and
was
nodding.
there was so it was an elevator song that they get all the
Oh yeah,
Goombas to dance.
was is that was that not as okay?
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah,
We cut back to that several times
it's
of them
bad.
like
It's
grooving
dumb
along.
and it makes no sense, and they stay on that far too long. Like them in
Yeah.
the elevator, it's like the longest elevator in the world.
Well, we have to cut back and forth quite a bit because we are spending a lot of time. This is actually, we should talk about the finale. We're at Koopa's castle. Daisy and the girls are basically running around free, or trying to get out anyway. Out of their they're out of their cell and running around the castle. Um, I actually don't know where this fight is happening. It's like in a big area with a big crowd. I think it might have been right above. It might be the bridge above the dance hall or something, where we're starting our big boss fight between Mario and Koopa, while Daisy teams back up with Luigi to stop the dimensions from merging. So Koopa has used the crystal to initiate the sequence that's going to merge our dimension with their dimension. And Mario shows up to stop him, and they fight for a bit. And then the merging progresses to the point where now we're in New York City, and we see the World Trade Center disintegrate for a minute, which is fun. And Koopa runs into that mafia boss type developer, and they have a little argument, and he's the first guy that he de-evolves into a monkey, and then he's very excited and happy and points and says monkey, because he realizes that he's in our world now because he's turned that
Mm-hmm.
guy into a monkey. So he's very pleased with that. But then at that point, Daisy and Luigi pull out the crystal and put a stop to the dimension merging, and everything kind of goes back. There's a lot of very dodgy special effects in this. I mean, both effects that actually made it in and effects that obviously probably would have, well, who knows if they would have been worked on more, but man, it is iffy. Like all the dimension merging stuff where like weird shit is happening in our world is real iffy. But while all this is going on, this is like 15 minutes of movie or something that is, Daisy and Luigi and Mario and Bowser or Koopa. I keep wanting to call him Bowser as well. But while all this is going on, at the start of the Koopa fight, oh, actually, I forgot this earlier. Man, I need more notes, I guess.
Oh, don't worry
But
about it. Just
earlier in the movie, the
no, don't
fungus.
go back.
No, early in the movie, the fungus gifted them a bomb.
The
So,
cheapest looking 10-cent toy today. You could buy a toy like that for 10 cents.
but the MVP of the fucking movie. I mean, so this is one of those things where they're just going down the sewers, and there's a bunch of fungus, and then the fungus just presents them, like it just drops down, and there's just a bomb hanging from the fungus, and Luigi's like, "Look, Mario, it's giving us. It wants us to have it. The fungus is helpful," and Mario still doesn't believe it at that point, right? And then Mario sets the bomb down at the start of his fight with Koopa, thinking that it's gonna, walk up at him and explode, and instead it falls through a crack or a gap in the bridge, and just is just out of sight and out of mind. It's like, well, that didn't do anything. But during this whole finale of the movie, this huge, as I said, over 10, maybe 15 minutes stretch of movie, this bomb is just walking along. The fungus is guiding it around, you
Making
know.
sure the fuse really isn't actually working.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty amazing how long that fuse lasts, for sure. But yeah, so the bomb has basically the longest journey while all this is going on, and just at the very end of the movie, after God, there's so much stuff. Koopa's pulled out a rocket launcher and fired it at Mario, and Mario has used their stupid jump shoes once, and all this stuff, and just at the very end, as Koopa has the advantage over Mario, the bomb shows up and bails him out, exploding just in the right moment. And Mario gets a hold of the de-evolution gun and shoots it. Actually, no, he reflects it back, right? At the fungus makes like a shield, and he reflects the evolution ray back at Koopa.
I think they just shot Koopa. Or something happens and Koopa falls into a...
But Koopa basically gets liquefied by the de-evolution gun.
Yeah, because he falls like into a cauldron and turns into a dinosaur, and then they devolve him even more until
even more, yeah, to the point where he's just ooze. And then one of the
like
weirdest things.
My brain is that right now.
The weirdest joke that was a reinsert, that was a joke that was cut from the theatrical that's back in here, is there's just like a pizza delivery guy that goes by, throws a pizza into the ooze. It's like, oh wait, that's the payoff. Early on in the movie, there's this shitty joke where he like orders a really dumb sounding pizza. It's like really hold the mammal, no maggots,
right?
Extra dino is the stupidest fucking pizza order. So yeah, I guess the pizza order arrives. Not a lot of time can have passed. How long did that pizza order take? I guess they had to follow Koopa around.
I don't. Back in the early 90s, they had that whole thing is if we can't deliver your pizza in 30 minutes, you get it for free. Koopa got it for free.
It's funny that that's such a trope because I think it was literally just, there were just like a couple of pizza places in New York that did that for like a little while. Like it didn't last long and it was not a big thing nationally. And yet everybody remembers the 30 minutes or it's free thing. Maybe because it's in every New York movie from that era. Anyway, that's an aside. But yeah, Koopa gets his pizza after he can no longer enjoy it. And Daisy, Mario, and Luigi. Well, Daisy stays back for a while because she's got things to deal with, and she wants to make sure her dad is okay. And Mario and Luigi go back to New York, and then they seem to be turning things around with their business and having a decent life. And that's when Daisy shows up all badass to tell them that they're needed for the sequel. That's never going to happen.
Thank God.
And then I don't think we get the original Capper.
Which was
there anything? Because I don't remember seeing
that was
it.
That was just credits.
That was it. Okay. Do you remember how the theatrical version ends?
No.
Okay. At the end of the theatrical version, 2 Japanese businessmen show up to buy the rights to the Mario Brothers life story so they can base the video games off them.
Hey.
So removing that, I think, a good thing.
Yeah, probably. That's probably
so
true.
they took out, that was actually one of the most egregious things about that version of the movie. So even though 20 minutes of material or more have been added, they did take out the Nintendo executives.
Because the Nintendo executives are probably the ones that ruined this whole thing. No, it was the movie people for sure.
But I think Nintendo was very shell-shocked by what happened.
That was bad.
Like they did not let anyone do anything with their license for a long time after that.
Absolutely so bad. And that's why I'm very excited that right after we get done recording this, I get to go watch the new Mario movie.
Oh, you're going to go watch it right now?
Yes.
I might watch it tomorrow or in a few days. But yeah.
You guys will hear our review in a week. But
that'll be our next episode.
I'm excited.
I'm really looking forward to that. I've been listening. I'll say this: I've spoiled myself on it a little bit, just in soundtrack form, because I listened to the album early today, and it is rad. It is a good ass Mario soundtrack. If you like Mario soundtracks, this is way up there.
Well, yeah, because it's like all remixes of all the old stuff, right?
Well, it's partially. There's actually a lot of original material as well. I would say it's like 50-50. Brian Tyler doing his take on what a Mario is, which is very, very good. But then he does also use the Koji Kondo themes quite a bit. And what I especially like is when he combines the two things, when it's like, oh, this is just like a badass Brian Tyler action track. But then it, integrates little bits of of Mario. You'll know. It's very clever the way he works stuff in. That's a very enjoyable album, and it's a big, like 88-minute listen. I mean, that sounds like the movie's going to have nonstop music. Though I have no idea what the how the music's going to be in context, but I'm just saying the album is enjoyable.
All right, but that'll be the fun for next week. But before we get there,
yes.
we need a rating for this.
Wow. Well,
our first actual movie rating, by the way, since July 16th of 2021.
Oh, don't remind me.
Do you remember the last movie we watched for this?
We pod faded for a while.
We did. My fault.
The last movie that we watched.
Yeah, because we did The Last of Us, but that was more TV.
What was it? I know we were about to watch Tomb Raider.
Yeah,
that made me.
We watched the Lara Croft Tomb Raider one, but we didn't watch.
We didn't watch the new Tomb Raider.
The new Tomb Raider, but this is one. Honestly, I don't remember watching.
Really?
Because I mean, we've rated it, and
was
it's
it
on
the last
there.
Resident Evil movie?
No, it's Dynasty
Monster
Warriors. It was Dynasty Warriors.
Oh my god, Dynasty Warriors!
I rated it a 3, and I don't remember a single thing about that movie.
I remember a few things. Let's nostalgia Dynasty Warriors for a second.
No, this has been too long.
No. The funniest thing funniest thing about that Dynasty Warriors was that they establish a shaman like character class in the first battle. The first battle, the people that they fight have like a shaman who at one point resurrects a big chunk of the army. And they have to take the shaman out before they can kill. It's like a freaking Diablo encounter or something. Huh. Actually, I don't remember if there were shamans that would do resurrections in the Dynasty Warriors games. Huh. But then it never comes back up for the entire movie. There's never anything supernatural ever again.
Yeah, I don't remember a thing about that. But anyways, okay. What are you rating this one?
I remember the music being really good. This one, well, I will say this. I will say it's still not a good movie.
No.
But it is about 10 to 15% better than it was before.
So, of course, we didn't. 0.2.
No, I'm giving this a 4 out of 10.
What? A 4 out of 10?
Yeah, I think it's quite enjoyable. Despite being, generally awful.
So I made a joke to you off screen when I was watching this movie. That I thought this movie was worse than Postal, which you said you have to be joking, and I was. I gave Postal a 2.5. I'm giving this a 3. It's better than Postal, but not.
What did I give Postal?
You gave Postal a 1. You hate that movie.
Okay, have I given anything a 0 yet?
No. You have given Postal and the final chapter of Resident Evil both a 1.
Okay, yeah. Oh god, that one really pissed me off.
So you are saying, according to our ratings, that again have a 1.5 break, and our moods have changed. You are saying the Morton Jankel cut of Super Mario Brothers is the same level as Like a Dragon.
Did I give Like a Dragon a 4?
You gave Like a Dragon a 4.
Okay. Like a Dragon is better than this. It also really messes up the story of the video game, though, in ways that piss me off. Yeah. It really is not a good version of Yakuza.
I'm also saying this version of the Mario is the same level as Dynasty Warriors because I want to forget this crap.
Okay. You know what? 3.5.
There you go. Talk them down.
I still got to give it a higher rating than you, but it's not as good as Like a Dragon.
That is fair. All right, sir. So we are through Mario. We're back to the crap. Hopefully next week we will have a little bit of enjoyment.
We'll see. We'll see. The reviews have been mixed, so...
And we will watch the new Super Mario Brothers movie, and then it's my pick. And I'll just throw it out there right now because we already know about the new Mario movie.
You want to give the one from the episode after next?
Yep, and we'll bring it back up. Just so anybody that's following along, you have 2 weeks now to go out and find this movie to get ready. But my pick is going to be the super faithful to the video game because it is just the video game, basically. But Ratchet and Clank. Why? Because by the time that episode comes out, it'll be almost 7 years to the day since that thing came out.
I will say this though. I mean, we're gonna watch it, but I know you say to give the audience time to catch up. If you've played the Ratchet and Clank remake, Ratchet and Clank, was it 2016?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've played Ratchet and Clank 2016, you don't need to watch this movie.
No,
you've seen it.
Because they're the same thing. They came out within a week of each other, and they're the same thing.
So, what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna try and like put that game out of my mind completely, and like pretend that I'm just like we have to put ourselves into the position of a moviegoer who has never heard of Ratchet and Clank, who's just like, oh, it's a cute-looking kids CG animated movie. I'm gonna take my kid to that on a Saturday morning because we got nothing better to do. That's who we need to be for next week, or the week after next.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. So new Mario next week. The week after that, Ratchet and Clank, and then we're off to the races.
Until then.
All right, man. You made it more enjoyable than the movie. I'll give you that. So congratulations to you for being more entertaining.
It's always fun talking to you about this stuff.
I appreciate you. All right, you guys, take care.